Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video, we're going to do another Getting Started Age of Sigmar 3rd Edition video for you, and today we're going to be looking at the Daughters of Khaine, and in particular, the Witch Cult part of the army. So this is the part of the army that's filled up with all those lovely murder elves. The main sort of, models you think of when you think of Daughters of Khaine are witch elves, and that's the sort of part of the army we're going to focus on. We've got a getting start collecting video based on the start collecting box, which of course focuses on the Melusai part of the army, so if you'd like to go check that out, you can definitely do so. We've got one on the video you'll find in our start collecting series. But today what we're going to focus on is we're going to focus on the witch cult and how to build a witch elf army. And so we'll talk about what exactly we get with this army, what it does, and all that on the tabletop. We'll then go into what units we should grab first, what we can look into grabbing later, and then lastly we'll finish off with a little sample army list for you all to look at. And so to start, so this army is a really aggressive combat army. Unlike maybe the Melusai, there are no shooting support units in this army or of any true value of shooting attacks. It's all down to our Witch Elves and Sisters of Slaughter going in and murdering absolutely everything. This army has loads of supporting buff pieces. This is just in general for Daughters of Khaine. The Wizards and Priests both have some decent prayers on them that enable us to get some good support onto our characters, along with other random buffs, things like the, cutely called Sippy Cup, the elixir that everyone gets to drink to give them some extra bonuses to wound on a potential. And then we've got also quite a lot of bodies on the table in comparison to, other versions of the Daughters of Khaine army. If you start playing with Witch Elves, you'll start running a lot more models. And so, where exactly do we start with this army? Well, let's go have a look. And so, my first point of buy would definitely be a Cauldron of Blood kit. This is a fantastic kit. It gives you a few different options for starters. So you can build a Melusai model from this if you would like the Bloodrak Shrine, but the ones we're going to look at are the Cauldron of Blood variations. You can either have the Hag Queen or Slaughter Queen on this, and then you would get the other models to go on foot. So if you actually built this, you would also get a Melusai Bloodrak Medusa on foot as well. Say you put a Hag Queen on your Cauldron, which I think is probably the way to go to start. You could definitely magnetize them or put them all on bases and just have bases sit atop your Cauldron so you can chop and change as you wish and please. If you're not wanting to go out and purchase too many of this model, I would definitely do that. But the Hag Queen, she's got her rule where she can give out some bonuses to wound. She's also a priest, which is nice. She's not too shabby in combat for a little small priest, in all honesty. Same with the Slaughter Queen. I mean, they can buff their own weapons and become a little bit deadly. This kit generally will give you everything you want for a Daughters of Khaine army and your characters, especially for those starting sort of point values. Next, the other kit we'll look at is Witch Elves. Witch Elves are a great little kit. They've got a couple of different weapon loadouts. So I've got the twin daggers, which get them more attacks and generally a little bit more offensive. We've got the bladed bucklers with one dagger, which is another cool option for the unit. This enables them to sort of deal back some damage when they're hit. Personally, I prefer just going all aggro with this sort of army. I like the double blades. But where can we go to next? So first of all, we've got Sisters of Slaughter. This is a different variation of the Witch Elf kit build. You can build this out of your Witch Elf boxes, and they're a little bit interesting. First of all, they've got whips and knives, or whips and shields as their weapon options. This gives them some extra reach, things the Witch Elves don't have. Now, this only really becomes apparent in massive units of Sisters of Slaughter, because don't forget, Witch Elves are on 25mm bases. So this means your Witch Elves are going to get most of their models in combat anyway, so only when you're running like units of 30 do Sisters of Slaughter and their range really come into it. However, there is another reason the range comes into it, and that is the fact they get a 6-inch pile-in move. So they're able to pile in from outside of combat, not take opponents' hits, pile in and attack, do some damage. They can also do it at range, so you can sort of sit on that back line of sort of 2 inches, force your opponent to have to move in and not get all their attacks in. It's a really nice sort of bunch of strategy you can use with Sisters of Slaughter. They're a really useful utility unit in the army. Next, we have the Melusai and Khaine. Now, Melusai have two different options. You have the bow snakes or the combat snakes. These are good, heavy infantry for your army. They do a lot of mortal wounds in either variation. Bow snakes especially are a really strong unit, though the combat snakes definitely do some work as well. Generally, these are going to be more elite versions of your Witch Elves. They're going to swap, I guess, the quantity of attacks you can get on your Witch Elves for quality of attacks, and really rely on getting the mortal wounds through. Khaine are great support units. First of all, they can pop out the sky, and they can deploy anywhere on the battlefield 9 inches away from enemy units up till turn 3. This makes them really, really useful. Either variation. Life Takers are particularly great in combat. Heart Renders have a little bit more shooting to them. But both these units are really useful in an army, just giving you the ability to play across the battlefield with a bunch of different roles and just sort of take the fight to your opponent. Your opponent can't leave objectives unguarded because otherwise they'll just drop down and take it. Useful utility unit again to have in your army. And then lastly, Doomfire Warlocks. One I think a lot of people potentially are sleeping on. They've got a lot of attacks, and because of this they absorb the buffs of the army really, really well. 5 models here, they will have 4 attacks apiece. So if you can put something like Mind Raise or something that gives them rerolls to wounds or pluses to hit, they get a lot of benefit out of that just by having so many attacks per model. They've also got a couple of wounds, so they're harder to take down, though not quite as defensively good as maybe the combat variations of the Snakes, the Blood Sisters, but they are a really, really solid unit. They're also a wizard unit as well, so they've got the ability to do some magic, cast Doombolt, which does a nice amount of mortal wounds out of them, and they've got ranged weapons in their crossbows as well, so they're a really solid unit. Definitely, I think, one a lot of people sleep on. And so here we have our little sample army list for the Daughters of Khaine. We're going to be playing in the sub-faction Hagnar. Now, this is a really popular sub-faction. So, first of all, Hagnar, what it gives us is Devoted Disciples. The Fanatical Faith battle trait negates a wound. Allocated to friendly Hagnar units. The Daughters of Khaine on a 5+ instead of 6 inch, whilst totally within 12 inch of the general that has the command trait. So that's a nice one. And then the Hagnar battle trait we get is Daughters of the First Temple, where we add 1 to the number of battle rounds that have been taken place. So when we're resolving our blood rights, so Daughters of Khaine generally get rules where they get reroll 1s to charge in turn 1, reroll rolls of run if to 1 in turn 1, charge in turn 2, hits, wounds, saves, all of that. Now, what this Hagnar gives us is the ability to count as turn 2 to start with, and we always count as 1 turn higher. Really, really solid. Allows us to get into combat, have our buffs up quicker. And so, other things we've gone for. Grand strategy, sever the head, kill our opponent's heroes. I mean, this just sounds fluffy for Daughters of Khaine. I do think, definitely with Hagnar, there's a good shout for keeping a battle line unit alive as well. And Triumph we've gone for Inspired. +1 to wound is really great. That is generally Witch Elves' downside is their wound rolls, so getting +1 to wound there could be really useful. Now, leader-wise, we've gone for a Hag Queen on Cauldron of Blood. She's going to be our general. And command trait, Devoted Disciples, and the artifact, the Fury, which are both from Hagnar. Fury adds 1 to the damage of one of her weapons, which is not bad. She's got some decent weapons, and she can buff herself again, as mentioned. She's got the Prayer Blessing of Khaine. This allows for rerolls of a prayer of your Blood Rights Blessing. So when you've got that 6-up ward you get for being Daughters of Khaine, and then it goes to a 5-up nearer, it's actually rerollable 5-up now, which is really solid. And then we've got a Slaughter Queen on foot, who's got the prayer Catechism of Murder. So what Catechism of Murder does is you get effectively exploding 6s. So every time you roll a 6 to hit, you get 2 wound rolls instead of 1. And then lastly, battle line, 3 units of 10 Witch Elves. I've gone for all Sacrificial Knives. I definitely think you can maybe play around with a combination of this a little bit. Maybe 2 Sacrificial Knives, 1 Blade Bucklers, a more defensive unit on your home objective. But that's really up to you. I think 3 units of 10, what this allows you to do is sort of swing them around, keep your buff pieces where you need them to be, and sort of move around and put those buffs on one of these units and send them in like a little heat-seeking missile to destroy something. Everything here is wrapped up in a battle regiment at 735 out of 750, so there's a good chance we are going to get that +1 to wound at 15 points below. No reinforced units and no allies. 48 wounds, which is pretty solid, and a 1-drop army, as mentioned, thanks to our battle regiment. If you've been playing Daughters of Khaine in the new edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and then especially if you've been playing with Witch Elves, let us know in the comments below how you've been going and any tips you have for newer players. Well, that's the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you'd like to, you can come over and chat more with us here at Sinful Gaming and our fine little community over on Discord. You'll find a link to that Discord in the description of the video. Lastly, we'd like to give a shout out to everyone who helps support the channel via Patreon and YouTube members, and if you'd like to help support the channel via Patreon or YouTube members, you can do so by one of the links in the video's description once again. But a special shout out to all our patrons: Christian Weir, James, Soren, Chaos Spawn, AJC, Kenny Lyle, Outer and Shop First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, and Dynet226. And another special shout out to our YouTube members: Greenridge Gaming, Kenton Young, Steve T, The Real Zeop, Chris Wallace, Turo12, Vinny, Lock Lorick, Matt Mollin, Becca Kinski Groupie, and the Johnny84. And lastly, a definite special shout out first of all to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork for the channel, and to Xmorphic, who does all the background work for our Discord server, keeping everything there running smoothly, because I am completely computer illiterate. Thank you very much. But that's it for the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe again. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. Ciao for now.